Alright, how is it going, people, and welcome back to another Discord bot tutorial. Now this is going to be a big video, honestly. This is very big. If you've read the title, we are finally going to be figuring out how to host this bot 24/7, pretty much running all the time. So, you know, like we're finally going to get this mainstream. So, you know, like with C# Discord bots, it's very hard to find hosting websites. You know, if you've ever searched on Google for a C# Discord bot hosting website, then there's not much. So, you know, like the better alternative is to actually use a virtual private server, and that's what I'm going to be covering in this video. There's going to be a lot that you need to learn beforehand, or, you know, like you'll need experience in certain things before even clicking on this video. Using the terminal in Linux, so using Bash, you need to have like a little bit of knowledge in Git, so using Git Bash. So, you know, like doing something like that, you like at this point you should definitely know how to use GitHub, because GitHub is going to be a major part in this video when we're trying to get our bots. So let me show you how to deal with GitHub first, and then we'll go right into hosting the bot. Okay, so for those of you that don't know how GitHub works, I've just got an example, you know, like random project here, and I'm just going to show you how to, you know, pretty much push this to a GitHub repository. So basically, a GitHub repository is like, pretty much think of it as the cloud. You're, you know, like you're basically storing all of your code. You're pretty much storing your whole project in the cloud, and you're able to access it from anywhere. You're pretty much able to, you know, make clones of the project on different computers, and you're pretty much able to do your work from anywhere. So that's the whole point of GitHub. So as you can see here, there's this whole section down here for GitHub. There's Git changes as well. So there's this option down here saying add to source control. So if you want to push your bot, you know, like if you want to push your whole bot project to a GitHub repo, then this is greatly advised. So you want to press the Git here, and then like as you can see, there's a whole you know, window here for pushing to a Git repo. So like you're able to sign in with your GitHub account, and then you're able to make your own repo for your bot, pretty much. So give it a name like, I don't know, bot or something like that here, one that fits you know, your needs. And then obviously you can make it private or public. You know, like, you know, like if you're planning to make your bot a public, then I would definitely like advise making the code public as well, so that people can have a look. So once you've done that, then you press create and push, and your bot should look something like this window right here. So when you log into your GitHub and then you view your newly created repo, it should look a little bit like this. It's got all your commands folders in there. It's got your bot.cs files. So this is my one I've been showing you all this time. This is pretty much the example bot. So as you can see, if we go to our /commands folder and then our font sl.cs, then we've got our test /command here, and then we've got our poll /command here, and we can view the code entirely from GitHub. And like as you can see, we have the option to pretty much clone this GitHub repo, so that you can access it from different systems and pretty much code from there. So that's the whole benefit of GitHub. Like if you want more advice on GitHub, then definitely search up a video, because like I'm pretty much expecting you lot at this point to be used to GitHub. You know, like you're pretty much at this point, you know, like you should be able to know how to use GitHub at this point. So yeah, that is GitHub. So now let's get on to the virtual private server and how to host that. Alright then, so if you search up VPS hosting, then you're pretty much able to find a lot of companies that host VPSs. So what I mean by a VPS is a virtual private server. So this, like, pretty much think of it as a sort of computer that's running in the cloud, and you're able to access it from anywhere. So this pretty much runs 24/7. That's the benefit that we want, right? We want our bot to run 24/7, available at any time where we execute a command. So that's the whole point of a virtual private server. Like the ones for Python and Java Discord bots, I'm sure there's definitely loads of companies out there that host you know, Python and Java bots where you can just upload your code and it will work. They use virtual private servers as well, but it sort of takes out that sort of setup process, because it does it automatically for you. So with C#, there's pretty much no sort of, you know, readily made solution for us right now. We pretty much have to set it up ourselves. So this is where you guys need to know a bit of Linux, like I said in the start of the video, and you also need to know a bit of Git Bash as well, like pulling, cloning, pushing to GitHub repos. So you're pretty much going to need to know a little bit about that. But if you don't, then don't worry. I will show you step by step which commands to execute in the terminal and stuff like that. You know, like, it might seem very confusing at first, but you have to do this for a C# Discord bot. There's no other alternative right now. You know, that's just how it is. So if you search up, then there's loads of different companies. You know, I've just found some examples like Contabo. They do some pretty cheap VPSs. Like their cheapest one is $6.99. There's also OVH Cloud. I've been using this for quite a while. They actually, you know, like, they're pretty decent, but they are quite a bit expensive. For example, you know, like as you can see here, 1030 for 2 cores, 4 gigabytes, and an 80 gigabyte SSD. I mean, you know, like if you want, then go for it, but make sure you do your research. There's also stuff like this, Namecheap. So they do 570 for 2 CPU cores, 2 gigabytes of RAM. So there's different, you know, VPS hosters out there, but in this example we are going to be using Contabo. So right now I have one set up. It's pretty much ready to go. There's nothing on it at the moment, so this gives me a perfect time to show you how to set up the virtual private server from scratch. And in this example we are also going to be using our caller bot. Right now it's offline, as you can see here, and it's in maintenance because I planned for this video. So this is pretty much also like another example for me to show you in like a real life bot. This is actually the, you know, like this bot is actually, you know, like pretty popular. It's in quite a few servers right now, so I can show you how I deal with stuff like that as well. So let's get started on hosting the bot. Okay, so once again in this example I did say we are going to be using the Contabo VPS provider. So I went and bought their cheapest VPS because it is actually powerful enough to host a Discord server. I believe it's got 4 cores and it comes with, I think, a 400 gigabyte hard disk, and it comes with, you know, more than enough RAM. So once you've bought one, you know, like like no matter what, you know, this will come at a price. You know, don't expect to host this for free. You know, it's always going to come at a cost, especially if you want it to be secure and if you don't want anyone hacking into it. So you're going to have to pay for it. So, you know, it's not going to come free. So once you've done that, you should be here with a little dashboard. So depending on what VPS provider you pick, there will always be a dashboard, and it will usually give you a IP address that they can connect to. This should give you a IP address, a username, and a password to actually log in to this VPS. So what we actually need to do is use an application called Potty. So if I search up Potty here, then as you can see, this is a pretty much terminal-based application where we can connect to VPSs. So pretty much most of the time, the OS of this VPS is going to be Linux Ubuntu. So because that's free, and you're obviously not going to install Windows Server 2019 because that costs a lot of money. So you're going to end up using some sort of a Linux OS. So that's why we need Potty, because it is a Linux-based terminal. So what you need to do here is actually put your IP address of your VPS in. So obviously I'm going to be blurring mine, and I'm going to be blurring a lot of this video because obviously I don't want my IP address of the VPS to be leaked. So first of all, you need to put your IP address of the VPS in here and then press open. So let's do that. Okay, so once you click open, you should be greeted with this nice terminal here. So it should say login as, and usually it will tell you in your dashboard what your username is, or, you know, like during the setup. So for me it is root. So normally it's root or pretty much admin or whatever. So all you need to do is just sign in. So I'm going to sign in into my VPS terminal here. So let's do that. So usually the password will be blurred out. So like, even if you're typing, don't worry, it is recognizing that it is being typed. So once you've logged in, you should be greeted with, you know, some sort of screen saying welcome to your VPS or whatever. So let me actually maximize this so they can get a better view. So there we go, we've managed to log into our VPS. So now it is finally time to set up our VPS to actually for the desktop environment. So far this is running on a terminal-based environment, and we want the GUI, right? So normally, if you click on the OS of the VPS, like they don't tell you that it is a terminal-based installation. So you have to install the GUI by yourself. So the first command we're going to execute here is sudo and then apt get update. So this first command allows you to pretty much like update all the packages that are in the current installation. So just make sure that everything is up to date, and alongside that we are going to put two ands, and then we're going to put sudo and then sudo apt get and then upgrade. Upgrade. So we need to execute these two commands here. So let's press enter, and as you can see, it's doing its thing. So this is just going to get the latest packages from Approach Online, and it's just going to update the current installation. So as you can see there, it's pretty much done. So it looks like it's already been updated, so it's got the latest versions of everything. So like the next thing is to install a display manager. So like the display manager basically allows us to pick the GUI that we want to use, because like there's this thing in Linux where we can install multiple GUIs like KDE Plasma, GNOME, you know, there's loads of those famous ones that comes into mind. You know, like it's pretty much up to you. So in order to install the display manager, we need to do sudo and then apt get once again, and then this time we install something called light dim. So we do light and then dm. So whoops, I put sudo. So sudo apt get install light dm, and there we go, it's doing its thing. So we need to press Y because we want to install this. So cool, that's doing its thing. Okay, so once that's done, we should get this window. So we want light dm to be installed. So make sure you pick light dm and then press enter. Okay, so it looks like we are done. Like that did take a little bit of a while, but like that's just how it is, you know. Like that's the main sort of, you know, like the display manager pretty much. So that's light dm installed. So now that we've installed it, now we have to start it up. So the last command for setting up this display manager is to do sudo and then do system and then ctl, and then we say start light dm. So we do sudo system ctl start light dm. I don't know if there's a way to make this bigger. No, there's no way to make this bigger. So alright, so sudo system ctl start light dm, and there we go. It takes pretty much less than a second. So now that we've started our light dm display manager, now it's finally time to install our GUI on top of this terminal. So in order to do that, we need to install something called task cell. So this is the sort of installer that will allow us to install pretty much any, you know, graphical user interface of Ubuntu. So what we do is pretty much install task cell, right? So we do sudo apt get once again, apt get, and then we say install task cell. So whoops, task and then cell. So this is our GUI installer. So let's click enter, and then looks like a task cell is already installed, so that's cool. You know, like on most VPSs, like they don't come installed, so that's pretty much a new thing. So in here we simply say task cell. So task cell, and we should get a nice window with our installer, and there we go. We've pretty much got our, you know, pretty much like Ubuntu installer, right? So in here we should be we should have an option for the GUI. Let's see. So it is Ubuntu-Desktop. So what we need to do is to pretty much press space on here to check it. Like you can just do it from the terminal, but you know, like you can do this as well. So make sure you check Ubuntu-Desktop, and I think there's nothing else we really have to install. You know, like we don't need anything else really. Yeah, like all we need is the GUI pretty much. So yeah, we press space on Ubuntu-Desktop and then we click enter, and then it should start installing. There we go. It's pretty much going to install the graphical user interface of our of pretty much Ubuntu. So this will take a while, but we will be back once it's all done. Okay guys, so it's finally done. Hopefully you are still with us in this video. This is like this just takes a while, honestly, like setting up this whole VPS, because bear in mind we are pretty much setting up a whole operating system anyway. So now that we have installed the graphical user interface, the last step we need to do is simply just reboot the VPS. Just make sure it pretty much accepts all the changes. So pretty much reboot. And then we should pretty much, so like it will pretty much disconnect us from the VPS automatically. So what we'll do is close it, and then we will open up a brand new session. So we'll go back to Potty, and then we will type in our IP address of our VPS once again, and there we go. So pretty much this is like this is pretty much a one-time thing. Like you're going to do this once in the terminal, and then you're never going to have to do this ever again, because you pretty much set up everything they need to pretty much get this VPS running a GUI, and that's what we need. So the next step is to actually remotely connect to this VPS, because right now we can only run this of a terminal. Like we can't actually access this GUI yet. So you're probably wondering, how on earth do I actually access the graphical user interface of this VPS? So we are going to use something called XRDP. So this is pretty much the Linux equivalent of remote desktop connection. So this app right here, as you can see here, remote desktop connection, this is pretty much the Linux equivalent. So what we're going to do is pretty much install that on this VPS so that we can actually access it from Windows. So once again, we do another sudo apt get. So we do sudo apt and then get, and then we install XRDP. So it's called XRDP. So make sure you press enter, and then it should install really quickly. So we press Y because we do want to install it. Okay, that's cool. It's a pretty straightforward installation. So now we pretty much add the current root user to this XRDP, because we pretty much want to configure it so that we can connect. So what we do is say sudo and then add user XRDP, and then we say SSL cert. So this means we can connect by SSL, pretty much anything that supports SSL, and we're pretty much adding the root user to it. So we press enter, and there we go. It's pretty much adding the user XRDP to the user group SSL cert. That's pretty much cool. So now we should be able to connect easily to our VPS. So what we do on Windows is open remote desktop connection. So as you can see here, it should just be empty for you lot, and then it should say computer, and then it should be like a blank box. So what you want to do here is put in the IP address of your VPS, because that's what we're trying to connect to, right? So let me put mine in. Obviously I'm gonna have to blur this out once again. And then we hit connect. Okay, so it should say that, yeah, there we go. The identity of the thing can't be verified. Do you want to connect anyway? Obviously we do. We just check that, and then we click on yes. So it should come up with this screen right here. So let me get that out of the way, because that's obviously showing my IP. There we go. Okay, so once you've set up XRDP, you should get this screen right here with a nice username and password thing. And your username and password is pretty much the same as your, like your terminal credentials. So I'm going to type in root and then my password. So let's press enter, and then it should log us in. Let's see. So we've got a cursor there. That's cool. Yeah, okay. And there we go. Yeah, there we go. There is our GUI. We are finally logged into our VPS. We've got our graphical user interface working. It's saying welcome for us. So this is pretty much as if we're using a virtual machine right now. So you know, like if you install Ubuntu on a virtual machine on your normal PC, it's pretty much going to be the same method, but we're running it on a VPS, so this is going to run 24/7. So let's get that out of the way. So let's set up whatever. So there we go. It's going to be a bit slow. You know, just pretty much expect that because you're connecting remotely. It's going to behave in a sort of laggy manner. So you're going to have to get used to that. So if you click on activities, then you can view all your different apps going on here. So, you know, once again, this is going to be very slow for me, but that's just how it is. As you can see, you know, we've got all our stuff here, our disks manager, our calculator approach. This is just a standard Ubuntu setup. So, you know, it's going to be standard. So that's pretty much part one of this video done. You know, we've got that first 50% out of the way. We've managed to install Ubuntu GUI onto our VPS. We're pretty much ready to go. So now the second part of it is to actually run our bot on this VPS, right? So now we're at a point where we can start running our bot from this VPS, and pretty much that's done. You know, we're pretty much able to host our bot 24/7 on a VPS. So let's get onto that part two now. Okay guys, so now we are on part two of this hosting video. So now that we've got the VPS ready, you know, we've pretty much installed all the GUI and all the necessary stuff that we need to. We are finally going to import our bot files from GitHub, and this is where we get to use Git Bash and you know, like do all that stuff basically. So like hopefully you did your background research, but if not, it's fine. It's going to be simple, but you know, it is advised that you always do your background research before you even do anything that you don't know how to do. So yeah, we are going to get started. So you know, there are many different ways. Honestly, there are countless different ways to actually run this bot on Linux, because you're probably wondering, you know, if you build your application, then you're running an, you know, like you're running a .exe file, right? So, you know, since this is not Windows, you're probably wondering, how do I run .exe files on Linux? And, you know, how do I run C# applications on Linux? Is pretty hard. So, you know, most people go the easy way and install VirtualBox. You know, they install VirtualBox on this VPS, and then they install a Windows 10 virtual machine, and then they do it that way. You know, that's perfectly acceptable. But you might find that some VPS providers don't actually support virtualization. So in that case, you know, like you may as well go for the Linux method, and it's probably easier to do it this method anyway, because you don't have to deal with the hassle of installing Windows 10 virtual machines, and you know, it's just going to be very slow. You know, it's a very slow process. So what I'm going to teach you is the Linux method. I'm going to teach you how to pretty much import your bot files on Linux through the terminal and run them on Linux. So this is not going to involve any Windows things, you know, nothing of that sort. So like I said in the example, we are going to be using my crawler bot, which is currently in maintenance. So as you can see, it is already on GitHub. So as you can see, the files are already here. The latest version is version 1.5.9.8, and you know, there's a lot of commits, as you can see here. But you know, the latest version is going to be 1.5.9.8. So the latest commit is just going to contain all of that. So the first thing we're going to have to do is open a terminal window, obviously, because that's where we're going to do everything from. It's just going to make life a lot easier, you know. So the first thing we're going to do is obviously install Git, because right now this just doesn't have any applications on it. So what we're going to do is just simply say sudo apt get, and then we're going to install Git. So this is what will allow us to get our you know, bot packages and pretty much, you know, our, you know, like pretty much our whole repository we're going to be able to get through installing Git right here. So what we're going to do is make a directory for us to pretty much store our bot files in. So I'm just going to simply make a directory. So we're going to go into our documents. So cd documents. You can place this wherever you want, honestly. So we're just going to do ls. There's nothing in there right now. So what we're going to do is just make a directory. So mkdir, and then we're just going to say bot files, I guess. Cool. And then if we do ls, then it should be there. So yeah, we're going to do cd. It pretty much made two folders by accident, so I'm just going to name it bot. So we're just going to do cd and then bot. So this is where we're going to pretty much store all of our bot files. So let's do clear. That was wrong, clear. Okay, so now we are in our bot folder. So the next thing to do is pretty much clone our our bot, right? So pretty much we need to give our link to our bot repository to be able to clone it. So I'm going to do that. So what we're going to do here is say git and then clone. And then you need to provide the URL of your GitHub repo. So if you go into your GitHub repo, then it is this link that you need to copy right here. So the github.com/my username and then call a Discord bot. So I paste it. Then there we go. Yeah. So if you're in, like if you're not in a virtual machine, then this will work really well. But if you're in a virtual machine, then it's probably likely that you need to type it word for word because you might not have guest additions or whatever. But if you just copy it right away, then yeah, it should work. So what this will do is pretty much clone your whole repo. It will copy over all of these files that we've got here, our bot.cs file, all my commands, everything that I've pretty much coded in this bot. It's just going to make a copy of it. So we're going to press enter, and then it will start cloning our bot. So as you can see, it's pretty much there we go, it's pretty much done. So if we do ns, then we should get, yeah, there we go, we've got a nice call a Discord bot directory. So if we cd into that, so call a Discord bot, and then if we do dir to view the directory, then there we go, it's got our files right there. It's got our program.cs, we've got our our commands class, JSON files, all that kind of stuff. So it's all done. We've managed to clone our bot directory into our VPS now. So that's all done. So now the next thing to do is we need to actually restore the packages, because if you remember, we had some Nuget packages, right? So if we just run this as is, it's not going to work because there is no bin folder right now. We haven't built the application like we normally do in Visual Studio 2022. When we click on build solution, it usually makes a bin folder and it generates the exe for us, and we would usually have those DOL files containing all our packages like D# plus and pretty much all that kind of stuff. So we need to actually restore our packages. But what we're going to do that is install Nuget itself. So what we're going to do is say sudo and then apt-get once again, apt-get, and then we're going to install Nuget. So Nuget, as you can see there. So there we go, that's cool. We need to press Y to install it, obviously. And then the last step is just to update it to the latest version, because sometimes it doesn't install the latest version of Nuget. Usually it installs like a version 2.7 or a 2.8. So we're just going to update it to the latest version. So what we're going to do is say sudo and then Nuget update, and then what we're going to do is say dash and then self, because we want it to update itself to the latest version. So we do that. And there we go, yeah, it's currently running 2.87 and then it updated itself to 6.4.0. So that's cool. We've pretty much installed our Nuget packages, so that's all cool. Okay guys, so once we've done installing Nuget, the next thing to do is to install something called Mono. So this is actually our C# compiler that we need to install. So what we do is say sudo and then apt and then install mono-complete. So this is our C# compiler, and it is very important. It's going to contain everything that we need to actually run this this whole application as well. So what we're going to do is press enter, and then it should start installing itself. So we press Y because we do want to install it, and yeah, it's just going to start doing its thing. Okay, cool. That's all done. So it looks like yes, like the compiler is all done. So if we try and build the application, then we should get an error that it's not going to import our namespaces such as D# plus. So if I do x build, and then what was the thing name? Discord bot test. So Discord bot test.sln. If we try and build it, then it's probably going to come up with some errors. Yeah, there we go. I mean, look at all these errors, man. We've got 164 errors because obviously we haven't actually restored our packages yet. So, if you've ever come across this issue where you actually clone a GitHub repo and then you try and run it firsthand, it's obviously not going to run because we haven't restored our Nuget packages yet. So it's saying, D+ plus could not be found. base command module. Look, it's just so many errors here. So the next step is to actually restore our packages. So what we're going to do is clear all of that because that looks like a mess. So yeah, the next thing is to restore our packages. So what we need to do is actually add a sort of source file to our, you know, our Discord repo. Sudo and then Nuget sources, and then we're going to say add. So we'll give it a name. So name, and then we're just going to say it, my sources, and then we're going to say the source is this link right here. So I'm going to paste in this link. But usually this will appear. So if you open up your preferences in your VS Studio 2022, then usually you'll get a package source. And like, I don't know if this is in your Visual Studio, but I will put it in the description. It's just using this link as a sort of library to access D# Plus and all the packages that we've been downloading so far. So I will put this link in the description. But back to this, this link as a sort of source to this file. So I need to make sure I put Nuget in here. Sudo Nuget sources add, name as my sources, and then we're going to say this link as the source. So we should press enter, and then there we go, package source with name, my sources added successfully. So now the next step is to finally restore our packages. So what we're going to say is sudo, and then we're going to say Nuget restore, and so restore, and just in case it doesn't work, we're still going to provide our source. So we're going to say -source, and then we're going to provide our link once again. So I'm going to paste in the link. Don't do Control V, always right click on paste because it won't work if you do Control V. So I'm going to press enter, and hopefully it starts restoring all of the packages. And there we go, restoring Nuget package D# Plus, and there we go. It's all restoring our packages that we've got in our packages.config file. So that's cool. It's all done. So yeah, there we go. Install 33 packages to package config project. So it's used our packages.config file and it's restored our packages using our link that we've just given here. So we've now restored our packages. So we're ready to go. The next step is to finally build this this whole project. So now we can do xbuild, hopefully. So we can do xbuild, and then we build our solution. So my thing is called Discord bot test, and then .sln. So we should press enter, and then it should start building everything. So there we go. It was pretty quick. So we've got 2 warnings for some reason. Let's see what went wrong. Okay, there we go. So it looks like that worked. Yeah, like for some reason, I don't know why, but apparently it wasn't running the latest version of Mono. So what I did was I just went on Mono's website. Yes, I just went on Mono's website, and then I just had a look at, you know, how to update it. So I just had to run these set of commands here. So I just sudo apt install and then some certificates, and then apparently I had to do this command right here for some reason. I don't know what it does, but apparently it worked. And then get the sources list for the latest version of Mono, and then when we do sudo apt update, it shows us we should have like a few packages to upgrade. So after you do sudo apt update, you should do sudo apt upgrade to actually install the packages, and we should now be at this point. And then I did xbuild once again, and we have no errors. So we have 4 warnings and 0 errors, but that's fine. It should just work as usual. So if we actually check my directory now, so we should have a nice exe file for the my Discord bot. So let's see, if we go to call a Discord bot, bin, and then debug. Yeah, there we go. We have the test.exe config, and then we should have our exe somewhere. Maybe it's just this, the pdb file. Oh no, wait, it's right here. Yeah, Discord bot test exe. So there we go. Okay. Yeah, like if you need those extra commands, then I will put it in the description or just on the screen wherever. But now that's done, it's obviously not going to work because we have to put our config JSON file in. So I did go out of my way to download that. So let me extract this folder. So extract here. Let's do that. So there we go. And also this contains my JSON file for my Dokkan passive generator. So so if you lot are planning to pretty much migrate your, you know, your existing Discord bot to like another VPS, then obviously make sure to back it up. So I'm just going to copy these over to my my bots. So we'll then bin, debug, and then we copy over here. So that's cool. And then we also need to copy over my my other JSON files. So I do have some other JSON files for my commands. So if I go to JSON files, then as you can see, yeah, I've got quite a bit of here. So I just need to copy over these 4 files here. So DBL units, links, LR passives, and then the waifu cards for the different commands. So let's copy that over. So copy to, and then home, desktop, and then my bot. So we'll copy it over to the bin debug. So there we go. We've copied over all of our JSON files that we need. So now the last step is to use Mono to actually run this this application. So what we're going to do is clear this this terminal. So we're going to clear it. And then what we simply do is run our bot. So we go to our bin debug folder. So we do cd bin bin and then debug. So if we do ls, then it should display our files here. So what we're going to do here is say mono, and then we run our exe file. So it is called Discord bot test exe for me. So exe. And then we should get a similar window to when we run our bot in Windows. So when we press enter, we should get, there we go, man. This is sick. So we get our D# Plus version 4.3.0. So let's go to Discord and see if this works. The caller bot is online. So if I do the help command, so let's just do help. We should get our help command, and as you can see, it works perfectly well. If I do calculator, then you know the like event handler and everything works well. So like just in case, if we check it in our actual server, we'll check if the event handler works. So we'll do help over here, and then calculator. So cool, like the event handler works well. Just a test. If we do our docon passive generator, let's see if that all works well. So if I just view my passives, so if we view my list, so and then if we do null here, it should get our, there we go, list of passives. And to be honest, it's working pretty fast. So as you can see, there's nothing going on in the console at the moment. So yeah, we've managed to get our Discord bot running in a Linux VPS. This is going to run 24/7. Yeah, that's pretty much how you get your bot to run in a VPS. So let me show you how you can release updates to your bot. So I'm just going to show you an example of that. I'm just going to put you guys in a sort of scenario where if you want to release an update to your bot, how do you actually get that update over to your VPS, and then you release the update as is. So I'm just going to do like a little example. Obviously this is going to be much bigger for you lot. So let's just say I just want to add a fortune to this fortune storage.cs file. So this is going to be like it's just not even an update, but it's just an example of what I'm going to show you. So let's just say I'm just going to do fortunes.add, and then I'm just going to say a random fortune, like this is just for fun. You'll get $10 million at the end of the year, so whatever. So like as you can see in our git changes, it's pretty much appeared as a change. So let's commit this change. So like for you lot, this like this might be like an update. So you might add new commands, or you might add new classes to your files. Like you might add many different things. So let's commit this change. So I'm just going to call this update. So update, and then we're going to say commit and push. So we're going to obviously save and commit, and then it's going to initiate the push, and then okay, I need to pull then push. Okay, that's fine. Like I'll probably have stuff in there already. So okay, so that's all committed. It's all pretty much done. So if we actually check our caller Discord bot, then if we refresh the page, then we've got a nice commit there. So yeah, it's got our update command. Notice it. It's got our update commit. So that's all cool. So like now that we've committed to this GitHub repo, we can go into our VPS and pull the changes. So this is the benefit of using GitHub, guys. Seriously, this is why I told you to use GitHub in the first place. So let's go to our files. So we're going to open our files, and then we're going to open our terminal in here. So what we're going to say is open a terminal in this folder. So right click and then open in terminal, and then we should be able to, so it's already opened a terminal in our folder here. So okay, we've committed that one commit saying update. So what we do here is say git and then pull, because we want to pull the latest commit. So we say enter, and then as you can see, it's pretty much got the latest commit, and as you can see, we've made our changes to the fortune storage.cs file. So the next step we need to do is pretty much rebuild that, rebuild the project. So those are the two steps. we pull our changes and then we rebuild the solution and then we can run it, right? So what we do is just say xbuild once again. So we do xbuild and then our Discord bot test.sln, and then it's going to rebuild it all for us. So, you know, like, you have to rebuild it because then you can actually, you know, put in the new changes. So, like every time you make a change and then you run it, it automatically rebuilds the solution when you press start. So in Linux, we have to do it manually. So we do our rebuild and then we clear it off. And then all we do is go to our bin.debug file. So we do cd bin and then debug, and then we do mono and then Discord bot test.exe, and then we run the bot again, and then it will run with our new changes. So this is how you release an update to your bot. So it's that simple. You pretty much commit your changes. If you're releasing an update, you pretty much do whatever you need to do, commit your changes, and then go to your VPS, and then you do git pull, and then you pretty much build the application, and then you can run it using mono. So that's how you release an update to your Discord bot whenever you need to in Linux, and it's all done via the terminal, which means there's no GUI involved. You know, everything is done within the terminal. So hopefully that also explains how you can release updates to your Discord bot via the terminal. So alright guys, that is all for this video today. It's a bit of a long one, but that's just how it is. Honestly, it is a bit of a long process, but hopefully that teaches you step by step how to host your C# Discord bot on a VPS. So this is pretty much the only way to do it right now, because there's no websites that allow you to upload your code and then, you know, host it from there. You know, those are only available for Python and Java. The best way to do it is from a VPS, and honestly, doing it from a VPS means you have more control over the way your bot is running. And honestly, getting a VPS means you can do more than just hosting a Discord bot. You know, you can host a lot more stuff like a VPN, your own Minecraft server. You know, your ideas can go beyond that just of a Discord bot. So you could host a lot more on VPSs than you think. So once again, if you have any questions, make sure to comment down below, or obviously ask me in the Discord server. I've been getting a lot of more people joining the Discord server, asking, you know, questions, asking so many questions, and, you know, it's really been a nice experience helping you guys. You know, it also helps me learn a lot as well, because there are some errors that I don't know about personally. So yeah, once again, if you have any questions, make sure to ask in the comments or in the description. Make sure to like and sub to the channel, and once again, I will see you lot in the next one. Peace out.